Hi, hey, howdy. Welcome back to Cover to Cover. You want something covered? I got you covered. Well, almost anything. Yeah, that works. I'll stick with that. Eventually, I'll have an intro for this as well. If you guys enjoy this, let me know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, all of that. That aside, let's go ahead and get back into the Korvac saga. Now, last we left off, we did the origin, where it was covered in Thor issue 6, or Thor annual issue 6, to be more specific. Thor ran into the Guardians, as you see on the left of this cover page here. The Guardians of the 31st Century. And we pick up now where... Oh, come on. I was doing so good, and then the fucking thing didn't want to scroll. Anyway, now we pick off where Beast... where you find Beast, Hank McCoy, Steve Rogers, and Wanda Maximoff all kind of like rushing to the central base, or the central area of the Avengers mansion, because the alarm was going off. They're trying to figure out what's going on, basically, right? And Beast has a competitive side, and I love it. It's really good. He shows up. He's like, I'm going to be the first one. And he's like, no, you're not. Because, Vision has the ability to become incorporeal and kind of like phase through things. So he's kind of always first. He just has a straight beeline, and Beast has to like bounce all over the place. I like that kind of aspect with Beast, is that like he's super intelligent, he's super athletic, and he's also like, super competitive with Vision in this sense. He's like, oh, I'm going to be the first one there. No, you're not. So they show up to the main area, and on the screen is whitewashed Nick Fury. Nick Fury. Excuse me, by the way, I'm just coming off of a flu. Not Modelo, just the flu. So, Nick Fury is basically reaching out to the Avengers, trying to figure out where this big ass ship, essentially, like this is the what would be considered the shield station, right, out in space, and this motherfucking thing pops up. So that little blue box thing right there, to like center left there, that's the shield station. And this big ass fucking Nuvo ring just pops up out of nowhere and kind of just like dwarfs that motherfucker. And they're trying to figure out what the fuck all this is about, right? So what they do is they end up reaching out to the Avengers, and they're like, all right, well, we gotta get the team together. Niggas like, well, y'all better hurry the fuck up, because I don't know what the hell any of this is any of this is. And it looks like it's about to just like bowl us right the fuck over. So, they get right on that. And you see Nick talking to a shadow figure. You find out later it's just Tony Stark. It's Tony Stark. I got it right this time. I think last time I said Tony Hawk. Either way, Tony Stark. They're basically having, that kind of conversation where it's like, well, if you can reach out to Iron Man and get him here, that'd be great. Also, there's the whole, like, I don't want all of this money basically going to waste. Because, Stark kind of invested not invested, but he financially backed the entire operation, essentially. So what ends up happening is they get Tony on essentially like a smaller, like an escape pod of sorts, and he's heading back down to Earth to get his Iron Man suit. And interestingly enough, unlike the 2008 movie, 2008, I think it was, 2008 or 2009, one of those, I think 2008. Unlike the movie, nobody knows that Tony Stark is Iron Man, which I think is really good. I think superheroes should have aliases. Like, nobody should know who each character is, unless their face is obviously, like, shown, like, like right here with Thor and Wonder Man. Also, I kind of like this page. And you see people off on the side, they're just like, holy shit, is that Wonder Man and Thor? It's fucking insane. It's fucking insane. Also, they do kind of look out of place. The fact that, like, you got this big hulking ass, like, dude in shades just chilling in, like, on one side of the booth, and you got Thor. There's obviously Thor. This man is in a whole costume. Muscles bulging all over the fucking diner. And then look at the dude over here to the side. He's just like, what the fuck is that shit? I shouldn't be making myself laugh. So it picks up with essentially Thor and Wonder Man having this whole conversation about what's been going on. With Thor being kind of gone for the most part, and Wonder Man basically having like a fear of sorts, and they don't explicitly outline what it is that he has a fear of. You have to basically read previous issues that he was in. Basically, they get the notification that there's some funky shit going on, so they end up piecing out of there. And this is pretty cool, right? Like Thor, he just flies. He uses Mjolnir to fly, and Wonder Man has like this booster belt, which actually I like the design to it. I like it. It's pretty cool. So they show up at the Avengers mansion. Everyone's kind of like assembling as the Avengers would do. So Wonder Man, there we go. Wonder Man, he goes. There's this sound that sounds like my own belt jets essentially. And Tony shows up. He's like, "Sorry guys, sorry I'm late." And here's something I really like is you get to see a side of Captain America that you don't see in modern days. Like this Captain America is like, you're a terrible leader. If you are going to be leading the Avengers, why the fuck are you showing up so damn late? You shouldn't be the last one here, motherfucker. This, that, and the other. Because, he's got the military mind. And they're kind of beefing about that whole thing. So, like, you see like a Tony Steve static, but they don't know the identities of each other, essentially. Well, everybody knows Steve Rogers, rather, is what I should say. Everyone knows Steve Rogers is the super soldier. They don't know that Tony Stark is Iron Man. But I like that. I like that little bit of like conflict within the group. What ends up happening though is they jump on a ship heading out to the Nuva ring out in space, and Nick Fury is giving them basically like the whole briefing mission, the whole briefing bit. You see what I kind of like. What I like a bit is that you see like Steve. There we go. Steve, Wanda, Wonder Man, and like just basically people who cannot breathe in space. They're kind of like suiting up. And then you have, Thor, Iron Man, who has this suit that's already like airlocked, so he doesn't have to worry about, not having air. Vision, who's a robot. So, they head out. So, Fury says, "Oh, I figure you guys got about 15 minutes to figure out what's going on before shit pops off." So they head out. I kind of like these panels where it's like they're traveling to the station, to the Nuva ring, and they end up shut. They just open the fucking doors. By the way, like the doors just open. They're just like, fuck it, we'll just go in. I thought that was kind of silly. So they get inside the Nuva ring and they have breathable air there, and they start suiting down. They're just like, all right, we got to figure out what all of this shit is because this is advanced as fuck. So they're like, okay, cool. Steve immediately, like a dickhead, like the American dickhead that he is, steps in and says, all right, you guys go that way. You go this way. You're with me. Blah, blah, this, that, and the other. Beast, you go by yourself. And it's just, you see Tony's face like, motherfucker, what? He's fucking flew. Beast heads out and he kind of makes a joke. Is like, what? I could have sworn I washed myself. I used mouthwash. I hope my breath doesn't stink. And I like, the whole split up bit that they do, because you see them all traversing in their own ways. Like Beast is bounding off the walls. Wonder Man's he's using his belt. Vision and Wanda, they're just like, I don't know, is that an escalator or steps or whatever? So Tony puts on the booster skates. I thought that was pretty cool. And Tony and Thor, they have like a little dialogue bit where Thor's like, yeah, man, don't let it get to you. It's just Steve is just kind of like on edge for some reason. And Tony's like, I don't care if he's on edge. You can cut that shit out. But I was about to say the same thing anyway. So, he kind of says that, Tony kind of outlines like, if Steve makes this any more boneheaded moves, then like it's probably going to end up being bad for us because, the teams start falling apart essentially. So, they're traversing their ways. And Beast shows up to this one location and immediately just gets snatched up by Charlie and Nikki, to be more specific. And I thought this was pretty cool because now you get to see like the heroes go against each other because they don't know that they're all heroes. They're just like, oh well, here's something interesting, and something interesting is like, oh okay, bet. If you really gonna sit there and not and act like an idiot, essentially, I'm gonna clap your earbuds with my feet. So Beast bounces off of them, and like you get to see them tussle a bit, which I thought was pretty cool. Nikki's firing, and Nikki has really good aim. She's not Hawkeye, but she has really good aim. She's popping off on Beast. Beast is kind of like avoiding all of it, which I thought was really good. Beast goes at Charlie, and Charlie's just like, no, none of that, sir. Sit it down. So what ends up happening is like, they tussle for a little bit longer. Wrong keys. They tussle for a little bit longer, and the blast happens. They're just like, the fuck was that? And come to find out, it's the rest of the Guardians. You have Starhawk, Mercurian, the Mercurian. I can't speak today. Martin X, and Major Astro. They all show up as like, hey, it's cool. He's good people. He's good people. And there's Yondu, my boy. They're just like, oh, okay, well that explains. I thought he was just a bad guy. And it was like, no, he's cool. Bet. And then Beast is like, God damn, I'm cool. Fuck you mean? And then he just gets swooped up by Mjolnir and manhandled by Thor. And I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was really cool. Just like, yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass, and then the loop on Mjolnir's hilt just comes through and just scoops him by the toes. Damn, that's pretty cool. I like that. They're all like, no, Beast, calm down. It's fine. We had a conversation. Everybody's cool. You just got the shorter end of the stick, and y'all beefed a bit. It's all good. And then, they do the classic heroes meetup. So you have all the Guardians talking to the Avengers. And I kind of like this panel. It's like every time I see like panels like this, I'm just like, this is good. Right? Like you see all of the heroes in like one spot. It's kind of like a roll call, like in Super Sentai series or Power Ranger series to be I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I'm forgetting words left and right today. What the hell is going on? But basically, yeah, like a hero's roll call kind of thing. So you see all the characters just pop up. And me, like the kid in me always does that, right? He's just like, he looks at like the art or the image, and you recognize every single character by name. It's always fun. I love doing it. But they basically debrief each other what's going on. They find out that that Korvac is a threat in the future, and Major Astro is basically in trouble, right? See, there's the outline of Korvac, and Thor kind of like reflects on that. And they explain what happens last time with like, Prom Night Dumpster Baby, Nightcrawler, Teenage Mutant Ninja, Dinosaur, Bad Flan, not Professor, Apprentice Croc, Killer Croc, Lizard Man, Apprentice. What was Apprentice Connors? Holy shit, Apprentice Connors. I forgot that name. It's probably because he's forgettable. Anyway, they kind of go through the whole spiel of what's going on. There's Korvac, the Mad Machine Man. And what ends up happening is they say, well, we gotta prevent it from happening, from him basically becoming as powerful as he is in our timeline. So they essentially they basically say that they can't include Major Astro because at this point in the timeline, he was a child. Like, he was a kid, essentially. A kid, teenager, kid, just about. So the way that the timeline works is that you can't meet yourself, right? Or bad things essentially happen with the continuum, which makes sense. And then you have Nick Fury having a conversation with Iron Man. He's just like, yep, Fury, all good. We're good. We're Gucci. So, they have the whole debrief. Everybody understands what's going on. And then what ends up happening is we cut to a fashion show fronted by our folks on the ground. Janet Van Dyne Pym. At this point in time, she and Hank are married. But yeah, Janet and Hank are here at this fashion show. And you see Hank and he meets up with Kyle Richmond. Holy shit, it was not William. I was thinking of someone else. And they kind of have like a little conversation as they're watching this show. And you got literally I wouldn't say literally who. This guy's he's important. So Rando, here we go. Rando stoic man. Blonde hair, blue eyed, stoic man. I know I just offended like a bunch of people. It's fine. Blonde hair, blue eyes, fine. Anyway, Rando Stoic shows up and he's just like he's just staring every girl up there down, essentially. And you see this bombshell pop up on the damn screen. Look at Karina Walters. We end up meeting with essentially we see Karina Walters, who's also important. More on that later. You see this guy, now he gets a reaction, essentially. He's like, I got a feeling in my pants. Anyway, you see on Kyle's face, he's just like, I don't know about that one, Chief. So what ends up happening is the fashion show gets interjected by none other than literally who? Porcupine and his other minions. His, what would you call those? Thugs? Thumb thugs? Thumb thugs. Yeah, they can be thumb thugs. Fuck it. Because they look like them. The blue men. They're the blue men. They show up and basically crash the party with these like space age looking weapons, which I think look kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. So they're apprehending people, taking their money and shit. So what ends up happening is Hank shrinks down to Yellow Jacket. By the way, he does become Yellow Jacket after a situation happens where he can't exactly do well. The whole thing is that like he now has the ability to fly as in comparison to him being Ant-Man is what I should say. He can now fly just like a Wasp, who ends up shrinking down. And she's like, oh yeah, no, we definitely hustling. We gonna get some shit done. So they're just like zapping people, zip zapping all around and whatnot. Porcupine's got this crazy ass fucking suit and he's just like firing off at every fucking angle, which I thought was pretty interesting. You see, Rando Stoic sitting here, he's just like, oh, well, here we go again. And what ends up happening is Nighthawk, who is Kyle Richmond. I kind of like his costume. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool. Nighthawk shows up and he's just like, all right, now it's a party. So they start throwing down and whatnot. And they start kind of like throwing commands at each other. Wasp is letting him know what the plan is and whatnot. So you see this guy kind of like holding some of these girls hostage. Nighthawk does his flippy dippy shit and just kind of like bounds off of the panel. He bounds off of the guy and kicks him into a pot of flowers. It's action. It's fucking action. I love it. It's so much fun. This lady passes out. Oh my god, this hot dude in a cape, in like a wing cape, just did a backflip off another guy. Oh, did she just like clutches pearls, faint couches, and what ends up happening is Karina ends up locking eyes with Rando here with what I call him? Rando Stoic. She ends up locking eyes with Rando Stoic here, and he offers her his hand, and you get this kind of like narration, and I'll go through it with you guys. He just says, he does not speak. There is no need. She feels his desire, senses his offer. It is received with awestruck wonder, but no trace of disbelief. It is unquestionably real. She accepts gracefully, totally. Action happens together. And, everything's wrapped up unseen. And everybody's kind of like explaining some stuff. They depart. So, then the issue kind of wraps up right here. Like none of the main characters here, none of them actually know who Karina is. Like personally, maybe Janet does, but other than that, not really. So the issue just kind of wraps up right here, with like a little joke that that Nighthawk made. It says, By the way, Jan, I wanted to congratulate you. Your fashion show had much more zing than the usual. And she's like, oh, sit on it, Nighthawk. You know, the classic, the classic comic book outro bit that they do with old shows that I enjoy so damn much. But yeah, the issue just kind of like wraps up there. The next issue picks up from Avengers 167. It was 167. This is 168. I think it says it somewhere. Yeah, it's right there in the upper right corner or upper left corner, right above Vision. It picks up issue 168, and I like this cover too. This is a really good cover. It's like everybody's just going at an unseen threat. So where we pick up is the Avengers are heading back home. They have the Guardians in tow, and they basically arrive back to the Avengers Tower, Avengers Mansion. Also, I kind of like that little Grooks by Piet Hein. Because, you know, Beast is highly intelligent, so he always has to read something that's highly intelligent. Even though the poems in Grooks, I think it's because I am not highly intelligent. I read like a number of them. And I'm just like, yeah, they seem simple enough in thought, but I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Nonetheless, you know, they do the whole the roll call kind of panel again. So you see Captain America and Starhawk in the back with Vision, Charlie 27, Martin X, Wonder Man, Beast, Nikki, Wanda, Yondu, and Thor, which I thought was pretty cool. I think, are they missing someone? No, I don't think they're missing anyone. Well, I mean, there's no, that's right, Astro. Astro's still on the Nouveau ring. He couldn't go because the whole like timeline thing. It's fine. It's fine, I guess, for him. No, it's not. He's, as he says here, I'm lonely again already. But yeah, what ends up happening is they return back to the Avengers Mansion, and they touch down, and they touch down right into the alarm going off again. So they're just like, oh shit, you know, some shit's popped off. We got to go figure out what the fuck all this is about. Beast can't get through. You see Thor just, you know, rip that bitch open. Then they all just head down. They're just like, the fuck is going on? Thor, Vision kind of like phases through everything. Beast is like, yep, nope. I'm going to be the first one there yet again. And what ends up happening is like, you know, Beast kind of like what happens is they split up, right? They go to check out different rooms. Beast is like, all right, well, I'll check over here. One is like, I'll check over here and stuff like that. So what ends up happening is I think Vision was the first one to show up, if I remember correctly from reading. Oh yeah, no, he says here, Vision ends up, he flies through the bedrooms and he says, you know, everything's been tossed, but nothing's been taken. And I was like, okay, well, that is kind of weird, you know, that everything was just thrown about, but nothing was actually stolen. They're looking for something specific. And what ends up happening is you see Tony uses his suit to essentially like heat the doors to like blow them up. And I thought that was pretty cool. But they break into the locked room, and they end up finding this guy, Henry Gyrick, I think his name was. Yeah, he was right there, Henry Peter Gyrick. By the way, that's like 3 Henrys so far. You got Henry Gyrick, Henry McCoy, and Henry Penn. You know, the Hanks, the 3 Hanks. They should form a band. But basically, what this guy is he's the special agent of the National Security Council. And essentially what all that means is that the only people who have like clearance to override the Avengers security system are the president and himself. So he shows up and he's just like, yeah, no, there's a big ass fucking hole in the wall of the Avengers Mansion. I'm not a fan of that shit because that leaves all kinds of like sensitive information just open for anybody to just stroll in and fucking snatch. And you guys weren't on top of that shit. Let that shit happen a fucking again. And, oh yeah, and Jarvis was definitely, held captive. And they're like, let that shit happen a fucking again. and we pulling all kind of funding from the Avengers. That's why you don't get involved with the government like that. What ends up happening after that, you see Cap kind of like boiling a bit because at this point Tony's heading the Avengers, and it's pissing Steve off that he's like, oh, he's a terrible leader. Anyway, he does. Well, Henry says it. Gyrick says it. He's like, you know, you let this shit happen fucking again, and you know that's it. We're pulling the cord. And it's like, all right. I'm personally like, all right, bet. But you know, what ends up happening is like they're just like, you know, Jarvis apologizes like, yeah, nah, I wish I was Alfred Pennyworth to just be able to handle myself, but it unfolded as it did. And Tony's like, yeah, nah, it's cool, man, it's cool. And then, you know, Steve steps up and is like, no, it's not cool. This, that, and the other. You're a terrible leader, so on and so forth. If you weren't out here being just a merc for fucking hire for Tony Stark and shit like that, bitch ass Iron Man, this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. And Tony's like, look, I can't exactly tell him that I am Tony, because then that just blows the whole cover thing. And like he says, look, man, what happens between me and Tony, my business. All good. You don't have to worry about that. I'm the leader of this group. And then like Steve steals off on him. It's like, hey, shut your fucking mouth. Fucking kick your ass. Anyway, they like the shit boils over, and they kind of like they get ready to tussle, and then Wanda throws a chair between between the two of them. She just throws a chair, and she's just like, look, everybody shut the fuck up, right? Calm down. And if there's any kind of blame to be thrown around, I'm gonna point at you, Steve, because like, you know, last time, the last time you were helpful in general was when you got in the way of me beating Ultron. And that shit struck a fucking nerve. You can see it in Steve's face. And he's like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I don't need all of this. So he just pieces out. Like, he doesn't leave the team. He just leaves the area kind of deal. And now we cut to what is my favorite part, because it is my boy, motherfucking Clint Barton. Look at him. Look at him. That's a handsome man. That's the best Avenger of all time. Fucking fight me. But you see Hawkeye, he's with I forgot his name is Matt. I think is Matt Wallace. I can't remember. It's Matt something. Two Gun, essentially. And Two Gun is essentially a man out of his time. Kind of like a sharpshooter kind of character. And what ends up happening the whole time is like he and Hawkeye are on like a train. They do like a little show, put on a show for people, earn some coin or whatever. And we all know how good Hawkeye is with his aim. So he throws Two Gun throws the cards up. He tosses up a deck full of cards, and Hawkeye's just like, bet all aces. So that's pretty cool. I like how they did that little display of abilities there. Everybody cheers, and it's fine. So what ends up happening is like Clint and Matt they sit down and have like a little conversation. And mid conversation, he just kind of blinks out. Well, Matt blinks out, and you know Clint's like, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't like it. You get back to they swing back to the Avengers, where everybody's just kind of like calming down. Everyone's simmering down. And Tony's just kind of like letting everyone know what the plan is as far as like protecting young Astro from Korvac, essentially. It's like this Korvac is probably going to go fuck him up and throw off the timeline. Because like if you kill Vance in the past, the Guardians in the future more than likely will never exist. And I'm like, all right, well, that makes sense. That makes sense as far as timelines go. It's like a Back to the Future thing. You know, if you were to, you know, shack up with your mom, do you actually exist? That was the weirdest fucking plot. It's a good movie, a good franchise, but it's a weird plot nonetheless. They're trying to figure out where Starhawk went. So, you know, Starhawk has this uncanny habit of just like kind of disappearing. But you know, they'll be like, yeah, he'll be back at some point. But what ends up happening is Rando Woman shows up to the house of Karina and Rando Man, who introduces himself as Michael. You know, that the name that was taken by Rando Stoic. That's the name he's picked up, and now he speaks, and now his name is Michael. Of course, it's Michael. You know how godlike. Anyway, Rando Woman is also introduced as Alita. Alita. No, it's Alita. Introduces herself. Is introduced as Alita because Michael knows her name for some reason. So what he does is he tells his woman to get back because shit's about to get like hairy, not like his legs. But Karina ends up leaving. She ends up leaving the room, and what happens is like they kind of go at each other. And what happens is Alita takes on the form of who she actually is, which is Starhawk, and it's interesting. It's like Alita is Starhawk's lover essentially. And they are two people. They are like two minds in one body kind of deal. So what ends up happening is like they do like a beef off. So they have a fight across space and time, which I thought was pretty cool. Well, space and time. They have a fight across. They have a battle across planes. I guess you could say like planes of existence. So it's like, okay, this is interesting. I like this. I like this where it's going. It's like a 2-on-1, but then like Michael becomes two people. He's like physical Michael and energy Michael. So shit just kind of pops off, and Starhawk gets that first hit and just steals off on him. And I thought this is really really cool, right? When he hits him, he just kind of like slaps him through like I guess through another plane of existence where he crashes into a planet, and just destroys all life on that planet. Like right there in that lower third panel, the third panel, the whole third panel, you just see a bunch of people screaming. It's like that whole planet just fucking died because he got uppercutted. I was like, yo, that's kind of crazy. But what ends up happening is like shit just kind of goes like haywire, and you get the introduction of Spider-Man in this saga, but this is kind of like the only time you actually really see him. It's fine though. It's kind of more to it's more to point out his spider senses, his cognitive precog I guess precognitive senses. He's just like, yeah, something weird is going on, and I'm not entirely sure what all of it is. But that's kind of like the most you'll see of Pete throughout this whole run. But what ends up happening is the fight continues, and Starhawk gets blasted in the face by Michael's energy form, and then Alita gets uppercutted by Michael's physical form, just catches the hands, and like what ends up happening is the whole thing behind it was Starhawk and Alita were essentially like, yeah, it's a 2-on-1. You have no chance of beating us. And Mike's like, yeah, nah, you're wrong. Fuck you. I'm better than you, right? So what ends up happening is he puts Alita down. So that basically keeps Alita from being able to, I guess, keep Starhawk from getting that cosmic abuse. So now it's physical and energy Michael versus Starhawk alone. And basically what ends up happening is he just gets manhandled. Like there's like, multiple forms of Michael just popping up. He's just getting thrown about through space. Like he's getting yelled at. Look, he's getting cosmic yelled at. He's getting cosmic blasted. He's trying to get the fuck out of there, and he's just like, yeah, nope. Now you get to watch your woman just get the hands for free while you get these cosmic discs in your fucking face, right? And then like you get this cosmic fire spin from Pokemon. And Michael's like, yeah, nah, you've lost essentially. So he ends up apprehending Starhawk, and he's like, and there's nothing else you can do. Like this is where it all ends for you, essentially. And Starhawk is struggling so hard to get out of there. What ends up happening, which I thought was really fucking cool, right, is Michael's like, yeah, no, this is it for you. This is it for you. And we cut to everyone who has a strong enough, like, precog sense, I guess you can call it. I'm not entirely sure what the encompassing title of that specific ability is, like kind of like the spider sense or cosmic awareness, I guess you would say. So you see Benedict Cucumber. He returns essentially. He's just like, yeah, something weird's going on here. You see OG Walter Lawson Marvell, my boy. Look at him, and he's just like, yeah. He has cosmic awareness, so like his is different from Doctor Strange. Like Strange senses things that goes on. He's just like aware of all of the shit. And he's just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. So like they are just not able to track down where all of this shit's coming from. But what ends up happening is like Starhawk. There's so many fucking names to remember right now. Starhawk gets thrown around through space. Just like blasted by lasers and yelled at in ethereal form. Which this part I thought was really fucking cool. Like, check this shit out, right? Like, so what ends up happening is Michael shreds Starhawk into fucking pieces. Shreds him into pieces. Silver fucking Surfer, right? He's like, yo, something weird's going on. I gotta figure out what all this is. But he never does. But what Michael does is he snatches up all of those shreds and just completely obliterates that shit. And I'm sitting here like, bro, this is fucking wild, right? He shreds Starhawk to fucking pieces, grabs those pieces, and then blasts those pieces into fucking dust. And I was just like, dude, this shit's amazing. So like, he just drops him into like back onto his fucking floor. He's just like, this is what you were. And he pulls up his pants, is like, and that's how it happens, buddy. That's an interesting fucking panel. That's an interesting panel. Who was the artist? I think this is George Perez was on the art for this. I think I gotta go back and check on that. But yeah, it's like, but Michael's like, yeah, no, and that's how it's fucking done. But I can't just have you be dead. So what I'll do is I'll rebuild you, which is something else that's really fucking amazing. Michael's just like, yeah, no, you're dead, but you're not. So you come back, and what he does is he erases himself from Starhawk's memory and says, you will now go hunt down Korvac, and you will never be able to sense what I am doing. And he's just like, oh shit. So like, there's two rando characters, and they're just like, oh look, it's Thor, and it's not Thor, it's Starhawk. So he's just flying back to the Avengers mansion, and they show up. They basically we show back up to the Avengers, and they're all kind of like divulging the plan to each other once more. And what ends up happening is Starhawk shows back up, and he's just like, they're just like, yo, where the fuck were you? And he's just like, I was out looking for something. He's like, looking for what? And he's like, well, it doesn't matter right now because we have to go find Korvac. And that's essentially where the issue ends. Is like, everybody's just like, oh, okay, well, yeah, he does kind of do that thing where he just disappears, comes back, and has some information for us. And they're just like, I don't know how you find this information out, but good shit, I guess. But the issue wraps up here where you cut back to Michael's house, and he's just sitting in the one room with the one light, with the one look. And for those of you that are putting two and two together, yep. But I think that's enough for right now. Just two issues. Essentially, what I'm doing is let me open up something here. So what I thought was pretty cool for the most part with these with this run is that like it spans over, there's Thor Annual issue 6, and then it spans over Avengers 167 to 177 minus 169, right? So it's 167, 168, 170, and then goes up to 177. If I'm doing that math, if I'm doing that correctly. 17, 68, Skip 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. Yep. So it spans over essentially 10 issues and one annual. Um, I think that's good, right? Is okay, well, we'll have this saga that kind of like, if we're gonna have any kind of like any kind of stories, I guess you could say, plots or whatever, kind of like crossing over in a way, we'll have what they did is they had Korvac's whole Korvac saga take place in Avengers, but they had Thor's annual, which is, if I'm like reading it to annuals correctly, annuals are basically like, one-offs essentially. It's like things that happen in like the meantime kind of deal. I might be wrong. If I am wrong, please correct me in the comment section, because like I'm more in tune with, like, I guess what you can say is like I'm not as up to date with classic comics as I am with comics from like the like late 80s to like the 90s, and like ahead from there, like 2000s and whatnot. I'm I'm reading more and more, and I'm finding a lot more stuff to get interested in. So it's more than just, Nightwing and Hawkeye are my favorite characters. Now I'm having more of an affinity towards Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, which I never had. Like, I never really cared for the two of them. I never, like, I watched Iron Man as a kid, the cartoon. I watched the cartoon and I was like, okay, I kind of like it. Kinda. That's about it. Same thing with Fantastic Four. Same thing with the Avengers stories that they had. But my favorite was always Spider-Man for the longest. And Hawkeye didn't become like, my favorite, one of my top 5 favorite Marvel characters or Marvel heroes until like maybe like 2010. I guess with the first Avengers movie, and I was just like, oh, this Clint guy is pretty cool. Like, everybody's kind of overlooking him because, oh, well, Cap can throw a fucking shield, and just fucking Iron Man and Hulk. And I'm just like, but this guy gets no love. I like him. I don't like pity like him. I genuinely like the fact that the only time he actually misses is on purpose. It's like, that's kind of interesting. I like that as a character trait. But what I think is really really good about this run, and you guys will end up seeing more of it as the videos roll out, is the stakes are always high, right? Like, if whatever threat pops up, the stakes will be high. Like, oh god, this motherfucker is gonna destroy some shit. It's not anything that's, oh well, it's an impending doom, but we're just gonna sit here and just like talk about it forever. It's none of that. There's always some action happening, and the action is always related to the bigger picture. And I think that's always interesting. That's always good to keep in mind when writing these stories. Essentially, like, these characters, like, even though there's like what 13, 14 characters that are 13, 14 characters just about that are like kind of very important in the story as it is right now. They all have like some kind of a role. Like, they all have something to do with this story. So like, even Pete with his his couple of panels cameo, he's just like, oh well, Pete's spider senses picked that up. Or even with Stephen Strange is like, well, his I guess, would it be mystic awareness? I don't know. I'm not a Doctor Strange, like, I'm not a Doctor Strange buff. Somebody let me know in the comment section what he does specifically. Aside from having that kind of awareness as like someone so close to, I think he was Sorcerer Supreme at this point. I think he became Sorcerer Supreme at this point. If I'm wrong, please correct me. The same thing with Captain Marvel, it's fucking goddamn Carol Danvers, who has cosmic awareness. By the way, I came across some news a lot of people probably don't know just yet, because it's kind of like an in talks kind of thing, or it's rumored. But Captain Marvel 2, I might be late on this. Captain Marvel 2, the big bad is supposed to be Korvac, and that pisses me off in all kinds of ways. You'll find out later with other videos. But You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna tell you guys a little bit about that. Like, kind of like the Infinity Saga with the MCU. How, oh well, in order to understand what Carol Danvers' role is in this movie or in this franchise, this saga, you have to go watch her movie. It's like her movie is completely unimportant to what the Infinity Saga was. One, two, it was completely retconned from what Walter Lawson was. Three, it was completely retconned from what Carol Danvers was. Four, it was completely retconned from what Monica Rambeau was. Five, it was completely retconned from what Nick Fury was. Like, they just fucked it all the way up. And they're going to do it again. They're going to fucking do it again. I'm pretty sure they will. I think Monica Rambeau is going to be revealed in the Captain Marvel movie as Photon. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. I mean, she does become Photon basically, but not in the way that they did in the MCU, where it's just like, all right, well, you are now magically a superhero. No, just give her basic ass fucking reactor goes off explosion origin. Just let it be as it happened. Damn it. But Korvac being her, the big bad pisses me off in a way where it's like, in the Korvac saga, she had damn near like she shows up, but she had damn near fuck all to do with anything. Like most of the action that happened, she wasn't there. Most of the shit that happened, she wasn't even there again. So it's just like she wasn't there for the Infinity Saga. She's in the Infinity movies. What? Same thing with the whole Korvac. It's like, what are they doing? Like, clearly she has no reason to be here, so don't put her here. She can kindly fuck off, and everybody would be nobody would be upset. I promise you. I mean, maybe like the weirdos, the Twitterati, as Justin Guy would call them. The Twitterati would be upset because, oh, well, where's my Captain Marvel? Where's my Captain Marvel? I don't see my Captain Marvel. Shut up, fuck off. She wasn't there in the first place. Anyway, at this point in time, I'd just be ranting the whole time. So I'm glad we ended the video. I'm glad I decided to end the video with like a cool looking cover, because you can enjoy something on the way out the door into another video, because that's how YouTube works. It's like, all right, well, I enjoyed that. Let me go find something else to watch. That being said, let me stop holding up your time and end the video. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, share. And thank you for at least making it to this part of the video where I have no problem just like prattling on about shit that I don't need to prattle on about. Anyway, until the next video, you guys stay safe. It's real in the streets, and take it easy.